What's going on, everybody? It's Mental. It's actually live. Yeah, that's right, live. It's the real live. Find out what you're listening to this. I mean, some of you will trickle in. We pulled a little pump fake there. We're a couple minutes behind. We're totally live here, but we are talking about, well, it's live. And there's an episode title, and I don't know what it means. It's something that I'm going to let my pal and co-host explain to you right now.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever this is hitting your ear holes, I hope that it is good. Yeah, I labeled the episode here on doing the make 'em ups in a jazz bar because as of this recording, that's what I did last night. I don't know if I talked about it last week. I'm sure I did. That I booked a gig. Last night was said gig. And the shout out to the Bon Bon Jazz Lounge here in Malaga Centro, right near La Malagueta Beach, like a block away from the beach. It was really cool. Like I went there the night before to check it out, get a feel of the land, see what the place is like. And when I left the bar, I noticed like just down the street, I said, I think that's the beach right there. So I walked, and sure enough, it was like right near the beach. I'm this is amazing. This is awesome. Yeah. So I had a lot of fun. It was great. I will tell you that the night before, when I went to check out the bar itself, was probably one of the longest nights. The whole thing started before at a place called Play Planet. Shout out to Play Planet, which is a board game business, right? Where you can go and play your different board games and hang out. And there was a meetup there to play board games. And I got there, and everybody had kind of already started the game, so I waited till the game finished, and then I was able to join in the game, and we played, and we closed the place out. Right, we left there at about 11:30, and then I decided, well, let me walk over to the jazz bar and check it out. And so I walked over to the jazz bar. It's a decent walk, about a 20-minute walk, and it was awesome. Like I said, the jazz bar was amazing, comfortable, cozy, small stage, right? It's a thin, long bar as opposed to a wide bar, right? So a lot of the audience is on the side.
Okay.
Longer. It's a very thin space to play, but it's very intimate, as it were, very intimate space. So I check it out. Everything's neat and fine, whatever. And I'm leaving the bar, headed back home to Torremolinos, and I have to catch the bus. And so I'm walking. I know it's about a 20-minute walk back to the bus stop, and so I'm walking, and I see a bank of scooters. The kind of scooters you can rent. The stand-up kind of scooters you can rent. I'm cool. You know what? I know there's another bank right by the bus stop. I'll ride from this spot to the other one. I'll knock off my, 20-minute walk, and I'll knock it down to 8 minutes on a scooter. So it takes me a while to finally get a scooter. They're either, it's late at night, so they're all either out of juice or, not compatible with my phone because I'm in Spain. And so I finally find one that's Bolt, and I use Bolt regularly. I use Bolt a lot in Romania. And I'm cool, perfect. I hop on the scooter, I scoop my little tail on down the road, going in a nice clip. Of course, getting there, you pass through one of those slow zones, as it were, so it automatically cuts your speed of the scooter. Like it's like a governor. That happens, automatically cuts the speed. So then I'm kind of going through here slowly. Plus, the scooter's on its last leg of battery. I get to the parking spot, put it down. I try to park it. It says, scooter must be parked in a blue parking level. So I'm okay, blue. This is what I'm looking for a blue sign. I don't see whatever. And I try to position it. I try to wait for it to park, and it won't park. It won't park. It won't park. So I look on the map, and in my general vicinity, there are only 3 blue parking areas that I can park this scooter. One of them is not where I am. 2 are way past the bus stop on the other side, and the other one is right where I picked it up from.
Right, of course.
So after cursing loudly and cursing out Bolt's name, calling them way out of the name, I hop on the scooter and I take it back through the slow zone because now I'm only going, half the speed that I was going before because now the battery's dying. Back to where I dropped it off.
Picked it up.
Right back where I picked it up. Right. I at one point in time there's an incline on the road and I have to walk it because there's not enough power for it to roll up the incline.
Yeah, you're probably paying for the miles.
Oh, paying for the time.
Or the time. Okay.
Yeah, definitely paying for the time. So I finally get it back to where it where it's parked. Finally get it parked, and then I have to walk all the way back to the bus stop. So I'm out €5.50 because that's how much it costs for that little scooter excursion. And I missed the bus that I was going for.
Of course.
So I had to wait, another like 15, 16 minutes for the next. Actually, it was like 30 minutes because that bus was late. So I had to wait for that bus to come. And then I finally got home. When I should have been home around 12:30, I got home like 1:45, almost 2 o'clock in the morning. All because Bolt won't let them scooters be parked at the same location. All the other scooter companies can park.
I always thought, now, full disclosure, I've not ridden one of these, rented one of these myself. I know many people who have. It just never really fit a scenario that made sense to me. Not that I'm opposed to them by any means, but I thought you could just dump them anywhere.
See that some you can, but there are designated spots that they can be left. Right.
What would have happened if it ran out of juice midway through that journey and you couldn't get to where you were going? Or let's say, for example, your intention was to continue. You weren't going to the bus stop. You were going past the bus stop to where one of these other parking spaces were, and it just so happened to run out of juice near that bus stop.
You're responsible to get it to where it needs to go.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I call bullshit.
I don't like it either. I'm not a fan. It's funny, I was spoiled because in Romania, I rode them bastards everywhere.
Yeah.
Like and their drop locations, it was much more where here are the places you cannot leave this, as opposed to here are the places where you have to leave this. Right? It was that kind of change in location, which was upsetting, to say the least. So, and they only have them like in the major city. Like I couldn't have taken one of those all the way back to Torremolinos. That's just not possible.
Right,
It's too long of a ride or whatever. And the cost would be not worth it. But it's like
because you're getting on that bus for a couple bucks, right? And going all the way home.
I'm getting on the bus for 50 cents.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. We buy we have the bus pass that the bus card. You get a card that allows you. It cuts the regular bus fare in half, or about half. Actually, more like 75%. It cuts it. Whatever the math is, it's normally like 150 and it costs me 50. So 2/3 of.
Yeah, that's nice.
There. To take the bus. So, and again, the public transportation system out here is amazing. And I know when the last bus from Malaga Centro is that I have to hop on in order to get back to wherever I need to go in time. That's 1:30 a.m. I know every day. It might be a little bit later on the weekends, but I know 1:30 every day. So I always try to catch the 1 o'clock bus because every half hour. So I try to catch the 1 o'clock bus just to give myself some wiggle room. Right. But then, so last night, I take the bus back out to Malaga Center, and I kind of know where the bar is, but again, I was there at nighttime coming from a different location.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to navigate new bus routes, and my phone, the network on my phone's tripping, so I end up getting on the right bus the wrong way. But of course, luckily, I gave myself plenty of time to get there. When my phone finally connects and I figure it out, I hop off that bus, walk a block or two, hop on the right bus, go in the right direction, get there. Then once I'm in the area where the bar is, I knew the area well enough, and I've been there before. Last time we were here, there have been several wine whispers in that area. It's right in the marina of Malaga Center, so it's really cool. There are a lot of shops, like a Hard Rock Cafe and all that. I thought that kind of area of a port, if you will. And so I get to the location. Again, it's great. It's wonderful. I'm the first person there, so shout out to me. And then the other special guest, shout out to Gisela, who is an improviser, from Spain as well. And she shows up and she goes, Alfonso, who's the main coordinator, always late. He's always late. But the show started at 9:30. We said we're going to get there by 8 to kind of run over the set list and all that kind of thing like that. And he got there like at 8:15. I was there about 7:50. Right. And Gisela got there a little after 8. But still there enough time to go over the set list.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And it was such a good time. I hadn't played improv in a while, so it's good to warm up. I mean, I did it in Vegas. Not the last time I was there, but the second to last time I was in Vegas. I got to play with Bleach. Shout out to Bleach. And this time, it was good. And it was in English. It was in English. But both of the both of the other actors spoke Spanish. So, of course, my promotion, I'm pretty sure you saw it, all my listeners, you saw it if you saw me post it, said 2 Spaniards and an American walk into a bar, which is a great start of a funny joke. And then we do the make-em-ups in the jazz bar. So we played 8 different games, and we met a few days before, 2 days before the event, and kind of hammered out what we're going to do, short form versus long form, what games we're going to play. And neither one had really done a short form as a show before. They've only done the longer storytelling type of improv, so they're both eager to do that. And I love that. That's really my bread and butter, the short form game play. I'm okay at long form. Long form is tougher for me because my memory shit.
So explain for our listeners the difference when you say these two things, because there's probably some folks out there who are hearing these for the first time. They probably don't know what you mean, not only just the difference between short form and long form, but when you say improv games, that's probably a mystery to some people as well.
Gotcha. So easy, yeah. So long form, if you're not familiar with long form or short form, you're not going to be familiar with what a herald is. But the most long form looks like you get a suggestion from the audience, one suggestion, top of the show, and then the rest of the entire show is built upon that suggestion.
Okay.
Through different scene work and character building and things along that line. But it's one entire play, if you will, one entire play, unscripted, based on the suggestion of the audience. Short form is much more like Whose Line Is It Anyway? Where you have all your players, they're given the rules of a game, and they get suggestions from the audience up top, and then you play those. There's a wide variety of improv games that were normally meant to be warm up for theater. They aren't meant to be done as a show, but they're entertaining as fuck, so we do them as a show.
Well, and you string a bunch of them together, and it's basically like a variety show,
right,
in an improv theme with all the same cast of characters moving different ones for different games.
Right, and you get to involve the audience, and people like to take part in things, even if they're not, the main actor. People still like to participate. So we had decent crowd. I'll tell you what, when we started, there were maybe about 12 people in the bar. which is a decent because again, small bar, so really intimate, decent size. My goal is as long as the audience outnumbers the performers by 2, we can do a show. Right. So with 3 performers, there needs to be at least 5 people in the house. That's my math, right?
This sounds like Olive Garden breadsticks math.
Absolutely. 100%.
If there's is number of people at the seat plus one, that's how many breadsticks you get to start.
Exactly. That's the exact math.
Count it next time.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah, definitely.
I know you believe it because we've probably talked about this before, but to the folks at home, next time you go to the OG, count the breadsticks before somebody eats one. Then count the people. If there's one more breadstick than people, they did right.
They did it right. Correct. Unless if they bring double plus 1, then one of you guys is fat. And they're anticipating that. Or look really hungry.
Know when I've gone too far.
Yes. That's your method of determination. Oh, I'm at Olive Garden. 1, that's your method of determination. You're at Olive Garden. 2.
Yeah. I've made this joke many times before. Back in the day when I was a little bit more health conscious, I had this app on my phone called My Fitness Pal, maybe. And it was like tracking everything that you ate. And one of the great things about it was that you could search for brand name stuff. You could scan barcodes or whatever, but if you were searching for something at a restaurant, you could literally pull up their whole menu. Well, let me tell you, you start typing Olive Garden into that app and it just crashes. Why
Olive
are you
Garden, don't. It just becomes a big don't. Just don't. Correct. Right. So we gear up. There's enough people. Like I said, there's about 10 to 12 people in the audience already. So we're having fun. And then, like a gift from God, 8 or 9 young, incredibly beautiful, dressed to the 9 women walk into the bar. The big group, like they just file in, they all sit together. And when I say young, I mean like early 20s, like really early 20s, right? And so part of me is going, okay, now I got to get more. I don't know how much they know improv. Like I recognize some of the other people in the audience because they recognize the improv. They're older, some were older, right? So I went, okay, I know that I can make some references that I get that they'll maybe be able to get, what have you. I'm still in Spain, so there's that issue. This group were not Spanish. There were a wide variety of races, but they all were Norwegian.
Interesting. Okay.
I found that out later after talking to them or whatever. But they come in, so now I'm going, oh, well, let me up my game. Let me play to, the crowd that walks in, because that type of crowd, if 1 or 2 are not having a good time, they can kind of ruin it for everybody else. I don't want to be here. Can we go? Whatever. So you want to make sure that every single one of them is entertained and engaged. You have to engage. One thing I'm really good at is engagement. I can engage the audience. So it worked out. Got some great suggestions. There, we did a game called Triangle, which is an improv game like Squares, where with only 3 of us, so it's Triangle, where 2 people are doing the scene, then the next 2 players are doing it. It rotates and doing the scene. Next 2 players doing a different scene, all with the same title, but with different genres. So the genre was, the first one was true crime, and then horror, and then rom-com were our 3 genres. And the title of each was Norwegian Girls. Hence the Norwegian Girls. Now, let me tell you something, y'all. My knowledge of geographical areas and things within those places is mediocre at best. If I haven't never been there, and I've never been to Norway, I know jack shit all except for the word is Norway. And they're Norwegian. And that's about as far as my knowledge goes. I know they're in they like football, and they're in Europe, right? So I knew that kind of stuff.
Well,
And
it's Scandinavia. I guess it's yes, of course it's Europe, but like the hangy ball that's in the back of your throat.
yeah.
Well, there's 3 of those up above the UK, and that's Scandinavia. And one of them is
Right.
Finland, and one of them is Norway, and one of them is Sweden, and nobody ever remembers what order they're in unless they fucking live there. Like if I were to guess, I think that Sweden is the one in the middle, but I don't know anything more than that.
Yeah. And that's more than I know. Right. I
That's
know
it.
that Finland,
You now
Sweden,
have all of my knowledge.
and the Netherlands. Where's the Netherlands?
Is they're
Is
Dutch?
that near them? They're Dutch, right?
That's like in the Europe somewhere, like the continental body.
Right. Yeah. See, listeners, this my travels will continue and grow, and as they do, so will my knowledge. But until then,
I want to say, actually, no, I do know one other thing allegedly that I think is about Norway. At least I associate it with Norway. So here in the States, we have property that we quote unquote own when you're a landowner. When I say quote unquote own, you're still paying fucking taxes every year for the plot of land that you own to the government when you own it. So do you really own it? But whatever. It gives you the unencumbered rights to do with it what you want with some societal restrictions. They own land in Norway as well, but I'm pretty sure that there is a law in Norway that would allow you, me, or whoever to just pitch a tent and camp out in somebody's backyard, and they can't kick us out. Like there may be some like it has to be so far away from the main house or whatever, but you could just like squat, from my understanding, in a tent on people's property. I'm pretty sure it's Norway.
I would be interested in looking that up and seeing if that's the case. Because I tell you what they got was a whole lot of, me pretending to be Norwegian. All I could think of was the Swedish Chef.
The Swedish Chef. You're probably not far off.
Was in that region or whatever, and I got to play a Swedish girl, a Norwegian girl, and in a couple scenes. I found out later they were a group of dancers, right? So our listenership may have grown eightfold because, of course, I got to promote the podcast, and I for sure said I will be mentioning all of you, on my podcast. And so they made sure to get the podcast and get the information down. So our listenership may have grown by 8, maybe a few more after last night. But they one of the games we played was Sing It, right? Which, I love musical improvisation. It's my forte. And at one point in time, they said, rap it. And I had to do a freestyle rhyme while my colleague was playing the piano, and she was playing like a jazz tune on the piano. So a jazz chords on the piano, but I had to find the beat of it to rap about a coyote in Norway. Oh, I'm sorry, in Oklahoma. Because for Sing It, the theme was the last purple rain in Oklahoma. Right. And so I had to rap about this coyote. And I killed it. I mean, to them, I killed it.
Is there video?
There is video. My people were recording. And so I just downloaded all the videos that they just posted all the videos. I just downloaded them maybe about 3 or 4 hours ago. I'm going to go through them all. I'm going to plug them into iMovie. I'm going to do some editing, some cuts, and some moving around and see what's what, clean it up or whatever. And I will definitely be posting in our Patreon.
We got to put that stuff in the paid tier.
I guarantee.
Only because it's time to start pushing that number to get those ducks.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. What I'll do is if there's what I'll do, like I said, I'll edit it and cut it, and you get a little snippet of it, and you put that in the public tier, and then with the tag on the end to see this full video, subscribe at bullwiththebutthole.com. Yeah. Yeah. So it was great. And then I got, we hung out afterwards, met some more people, got some more interview possibilities. I'm definitely going to interview the 2 people that I played with and one other person, maybe 1 or 2 other people that I met. So I got those lined up. Be on the lookout for those. Those are coming down the wire. And it was a lot of fun.
What would you say, not specific to last night, but like all time, what is your favorite improv game? Like if it were the go-to, like you've got a group of people that are down, we're not warming up anymore, we're there, we're ready to go. What's your favorite?
Twofold. Any game where I get to sing and get to make up a song, I love. That's again my forte. That's what I love to do. I love to be, musical and vocal in an improvised scene. Hell, I wrote an entire show around that concept. Second to that, right on the same level, is a game called Survivor.
Okay.
Where you get a suggestion from the audience, you do a scene. Once the scene is over, the audience votes a member off the island, and then the remaining players have to do the exact same thing. All characters, so on and so forth, and then you vote a member off the island until you're down to 1 person who has to do the entire scene by themselves. I love that game. Yeah, that is one of my favorite games of all time. Have you seen quite a bit of improv?
It depends on how big the basket of quite a bit is to you. There is this group that is in my town that meets on Tuesday nights and basically just runs through games and stuff. And I've popped in and hung out with them a handful of times. So that's always been fun. The square one that you're talking about, where 2 people are up and 2 people are back, but then it rotates. So you've got, over the course of time, 4 different matchings, has always been fun. And, the group that I was working with, they always, like, it's different. The premises and the suggestions change, but the ability to still kind of maintain a universe where there will be eventual callbacks to things from earlier is always fun. Right. It's not necessarily part of the prompt, but it still fits and works. Has always been good.
Yeah, that's the sign of good. That's the sign of good improvisers. Getting callbacks. One thing I love to do when you're getting suggestions from the audience, quite a few people shout out a bunch of random things.
Yeah.
And one thing happened last night that I'm never a fan of. I tried to help mitigate it without calling my fellow improviser out. Is we asked for a suggestion. One person said one thing, and then silence. And instead of taking that suggestion, my co-host, my castmate went, any other suggestions? Right? They didn't like that suggestion, so they're looking for other things to play with. The second suggestion, didn't like that either. Look for a third suggestion. That was the last Purple Rain in Oklahoma. Because what they asked for were song titles. We need song titles. The first song title we got was Oklahoma.
Okay.
Okay. I understand musical theater. I get it. Cool. For any other song titles, whatever. Somebody said The Last. I never heard of The Last. I don't know what that is, but it must be a song title. But any other song titles? And then one of the Norwegian girls, which is why she was my favorite of the night, said Purple Rain.
Understandably.
And I literally went, "What? Who said that? Raise your hand. You are my favorite person in this room right now." And then I said, well, how about we do this? Put them together. It's the last Purple Rain in Oklahoma. And so then I started this scene being a owner of a record shop, and it went on from there. And it devolved into talking about the Coyotes in Oklahoma and having to rap about it. But man, it was an amazing night. I tell you, I am at home on an improv stage. Real talk. That is where I find ultimate joy. We played for like an hour and a half.
That's cool.
And I could have easily gone for 3.
I need to either be more regularly in attendance in this local group, which is the best option, or find another one that works better for me. Because being in that mix and that flow of ideas eventually will breed itself into stuff for me to do on stage in my show, for sure.
Absolutely. Do you play with them, or do you just go watch their show?
Oh, they're not doing a show. They're just basically playing. So yeah,
It's a workshop. It's a jam. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. I've been involved since before I even knew what I was doing. They threw me into it, and you know me, I don't give a shit. Like, let's go.
Right.
The only thing I pretty much don't do is sing. It's just not good for everyone around.
Which means it's good to everybody in the right context.
Yeah, jump in, let's roll. Ideally, I would love to coordinate a time in which I got an improv group to come to one of my shows as my guest and be like, look, I just want you to take this in. I want you to take this in. I want you to understand that what you are watching is very, very, very real. Meaning that the folks that I have up on stage, once this party gets started, are seeing, hearing, and feeling whatever world I'm suggesting to them. Mm-hmm. And to them, and again, it's different for everybody on stage, because some of us are visual and some of us are audible, some of us are touchy-feely. So the way that they will come off that stage and describe what they experienced to you will not be identical between, any of them, many of them. But understand that ultimately in that position, I could potentially treat this like I am directing an improv show and I have the best troupe in the world. They will do anything. They can do anything. And as I think that we've talked about in the past, much like what you're doing in improv, that draws somewhere into the depths of your mind off of your life experiences, the reference points that you have, because you're not just making shit up and stringing words together. It came from somewhere, right?
There's a reference point, even if it's small in your brain. There's a reference point of what you're creating.
And even if you don't know where it is, like it could have been something that you saw on an episode of Golden Girls 30 years ago that you've totally forgotten, but in your subconscious mind, it's still there and it's stuck with you for some reason. And therefore, boom, here we go.
That's why I like Old Ladies in Satin.
Yeah. So, to then pull this group aside and be like, okay, if you had the blank check that I just had in my hand, what would you write on the check? Let's flow some ideas. Let's put something, because the biggest problem beyond a single show in my world is that everybody's doing the same shit. Everybody's doing some version of the same show that everybody else is doing. There are books and books and books from the olden days that if you were to compile them together, there's probably like 100-ish different routines. And when people put their shows together, they're taking about 6 of those, stringing them together in a way that does or does not make any sort of sense. Because some people I've seen them just go, and now we're on the beach. and now we're doing this, and now that, and none of these things fucking make any, there's no flow, there's no story, there's no whatever. Like,
Right.
I like right now in the Between Two Minds show, it's about, the power of the mind and unlocking, hidden potential and hidden talents. So it's an empowering thing. Each time I'm doing something, I'm empowering my volunteers with some new talent, some new skills, some new expertise, or some sort of journey that we're going on as part of the thing. Now I'm trying to trend away and move away and evolve out of that, but that's beginner shit. That's stuff that I was doing.
Right. And you're a beginner.
New to it. Yeah. I mean, I'm right. Yeah. I have. Once I did that first show, the first thing I thought was, man, that was great, but how good is this going to be 50 shows from now?
That part.
And I'm a little over halfway there. And, between some of the stuff that I have going on, like next week, if you're watching this live, or this week, if you are watching this in the regular drop, I'm in Oregon doing 5 or more shows, which is going to be great. And in September, which has officially been announced, and I think we'll talk more about that next week in a little bit more detail, 5 more shows at the Rochester Fringe Festival, and obviously a bunch of other stuff in between. So, that 50th show is coming. It'll be there in 2024 rather.
It's coming up. It'll be coming up quick as you're hitting these fringe festivals and whatnot.
Yeah.
You know what else is coming up quick?
What's that?
Episode 100.
Episode 100.
Yeah, I was doing the math. This is we're recording right now. We're doing live right now. Is episode 97.
Right.
This will drop July 31st.
Correct.
Which means August 7th, August 14th, and then August 21st is episode 100. So we'll be recording episode 100 the week of the 15th or the 14th, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Which is good to know because I have ideas and special guests, and I need to get them on the calendar for that episode. And you and I, we have some logistics we got to figure out around that. Okay, hold on. We got to do the. I was talking about with episode 100. Because you know me, I love milestone shit.
Yeah.
Right? And episode 100, that's phenomenal, and it'll mean we made it. It means we passed the Matt Donnelly test.
Right. Yeah.
It means we're honest to goodness podcast. Right. The next thing will be to surpass a certain number in our subscribers, where we become desirable to sponsors.
Yeah.
That's the goal. That's the goal. To become desirable to sponsors, to have an audience base where people are really interested in what we have to say, the things we do, but so much so that they want to give us money to keep saying it and doing it.
Step 3. Profit.
That's right.
It is hard to look at a celebrity going, imagine the celebrity just, on the toilet taking a massive dump.
That's the goal. Becoming dump celebrities.
Dump celebrities. Oh, we just changed the episode title.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Speaking of things that may be in the toilet, Segway King here. So remember a few episodes ago when I was really excited because we're going to Cadiz and I got the position in Null Cop and all this other thing, and we look at all the things that are happening. In the span of, so behind the scenes a little bit, folks, we recorded a bank episode earlier today. And in between recording that episode and this episode, plans may be changing again.
Oh, wow.
So here's the new most likely plan that's going to happen.
This is like breaking news.
Very much so. Big, sexy, digital nomad. Breaking news. Big, sexy, and his lovely wife, Nilla, may be abandoning the Cadiz route, resigning the position at NOGCAP because we didn't get where we wanted, and instead be moving to Mexico.
Ooh.
Right now, my wife is looking at Playa del Carmen. Again, it's on the beach. You know, it's a much lower cost of living. Basically, Europe is not as inexpensive as we had hoped, right? So even though it is a little bit less cost of living, we're still not able to dig ourselves, and get ourselves stable, right? As we had hoped. Also, we're really, really, really concerned that the window of time between getting back to the U.S. and getting our visa is too small, and that we won't be able to get the visa back in time to come back. And also the cost for flights, that window for return flights is so small that the prices are astronomical.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think some of it's the location, because when you mentioned where you were going, I was randomly looking at flights to there. Number one, not that I would expect it, but from here, none direct. And from, and some of them, so many jumps that it took 24 to 30 hours to get there. And I'm searching for, when I use some of these websites that allow you, that are the aggregators or whatever that are there to be the quote unquote deal sites. And I'm sure they all work very similarly. And they're not paying me, so I'm not going to say who they are. Right. But it allows you to put in multiple airports on, right, on both ends. So I can put, Philly.
Right.
And, if I know where my end destination is, you can say multiple airports, because like for where I am, I'm literally smack dab in the middle of Baltimore and Philly. So I could fly out of whichever one's more convenient. None of them were convenient. None of them were cheap.
Right. Yeah. And it's the same trying to go back home. Right. We do have a possibility to go to North Carolina. Because again, getting to the East Coast is a little bit cheaper than getting to the West Coast. However, if we can get directly to California, we can move things faster, if you will. We already expressed the issues of going to Vegas, which is a whole nother thing. So right now we're in the process of, okay, what are our options? Let's map these out here, and then find out what's the best deal. Both of us, her and I, are working and looking at doing the legwork and looking at flights and determining what's the best option. I know she definitely want to fly together and things of that nature, but my concern is always the airline the airlines that will allow Fox to be on are obviously not the cheapest. Right. They're not the least expensive. And if I get on a cheaper flight and try to find a cheaper flight that still allows a refundable ticket, and we have to fly separately and it saves us $200-$300, that feels like the way to go. But that's a lot of research that, I got to do in a very short amount of time. Matter of fact, as soon as we get off of this, that's immediately what I'm going to be doing. So listeners, people live viewing, if you don't have any ideas about, awesome travel arrangements, quick, fast, and easy, hit me up. And I'll reach out to some travel agents to see what's what, but I think our windows not allotting for too many discounts at this time.
Yeah. But Mexico's nice.
Let's go, and I love Mexico. I think some of the parts, not all of it, but some of the parts that I've been to, and this would be a part that I've never been to, but I know they have very beautiful waters and beautiful coasts. People that I know that have lived there speak very highly of it. And again, the cost of living is phenomenally cheaper, so we're able to save, and make no mistake, we're coming back to Spain, right? Ideally, what would happen is we would go to Mexico, save up money, and then next year do the exact same thing. Apply for the NOLCAP position. We already know what it entails. We already know how to do it. We know when you have to do it. We already have all the paperwork, everything ready to go. Everything got to submit to get it done. We can get it like right on the day that it comes out. That way we have the best chance of getting, we'll both apply on the same day, but the best chance of getting exactly where we want to be, when we want to be there.
And you know that you only have 4 days to respond to it, to be on the lookout for it. Correct.
We know about how long it takes for the email to get there. We know, once you submit, you probably have maybe about 2 to 3 weeks time, and then checking that email every single day, which I'm gun shy now. I check my email daily. I clean out my inbox on the 6 different email accounts that I'm running daily because I won't miss anything. And for somebody who has FOMO, to have that happen, like really brings the FOMO out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it increases that fear. It increases that phobia. It is not pleasant. So I will not be letting that happen again. So that may be the go-to plan now, is to go to Mexico instead of home and back to Spain.
Well, we'll have to get Beer in the Backpack back on here again because he spent a lot of time in various parts of Mexico.
Right. And the process of getting the visa from Mexico is so easy. Why I said it's like maybe a same-day process as opposed to a 2 to 3 week process.
But how will you get there? I mean, with the wall and everything.
Oh, well, the good news is, so the wall is much more like a turnstile.
Okay.
We can go through it, but it's a hassle to come the other way, is my understanding.
Oh, yeah. Like, yeah. Okay.
Either that or I'm going to lose a bunch of weight and just squeeze myself through the slats. Or, here's a wild idea. Do it the way most do it and fly there.
Oh, yeah.
That's those things called planes.
I've been on one before.
Yeah, once or twice. So that's
Oregon soon. Woo.
Yeah, that's the plan. Well, that's the idea. And listeners, stay tuned because as things get formalized and all that kind of stuff, when I have, things get locked in when tickets get purchased.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we warned everybody from episode 1 that everything about digital nomading is a very fluid process.
Very fluid process. And one episode I can be very excited and have a complete idea of where I'm going. The very next episode, all that has changed.
Yeah. And it's funny because the one episode is actually going to come after the other because we are just jockeying hard to be that #1 time travel podcast.
Correct. Yeah, so that's the future as it looks right now. It's fluid. And I tell people, my future is moist. It's very fluid. So just, be aware that things alter and change and what have you. So, so many episode titles. Keep an eye. Stay tuned.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, we mentioned we were going to talk about something on the live episode. Was it Rochester Fringe? Do we want to start? We really want to push that. I know we did a long, deep talk in a bank episode, listeners, that you'll be catching at a later date. Was there any quicker updates or anything you wanted to drop in this episode?
Next week on Rochester Fringe. It's going to be kick-ass. RochesterFringe.com. The tickets are currently available. We'll talk more about that next week. And
in that bank episode, do we get to the interesting nuggets that you wanted to?
I got to one of them. I got to one of them.
All right, cool. What's the other one?
I don't know.
Okay, cool. All right.
Well, I don't know. Did I mention? I think I will mention next week that Banachek's got 2 shows.
Yes.
During two or three. I think 2. Might be 3. He's coming out for a weekend, it looks like.
Yes.
He had a 2-year residency at the Strat in Vegas. So if you somehow missed his show, he'll be doing a version of it at the Rochester Fringe, and that'll be the first weekend.
One thing I did notice in Spiegel Tent and Spiegel Garden, and apparently, the more you've done the festival, the easier you understand how to navigate this. One group had 3 different shows, 3 completely different ticketed shows.
One group?
One group. Yeah, I want to say there were the Bushwackies or the.
That doesn't sound right, because one of the things that seemed to be very clear as I was applying is that you could only do one show in one venue.
I will. Let's look at it while we're at it now. So I want to say there were the Bush Wikis, the Bushwhacked Beer Babies, something along those lines. I'm looking in the Spiegel. Okay, it wasn't Spiegel Tent. Let's look at
the Bushwhack Boozy Cabaret of Destiny.
That's it.
Oh, there's 3 Bushwhack things.
So you see what I mean?
So the production company, all right. So the production company can put on different stuff, but it's different performers. It should be different performers.
I tell you what, each of those pictures looked like the same 2 people.
Sure does.
Right?
Interesting.
All right, listeners, there's going to be a live viewers. There's going to be a gap in this. I need to go turn the TV came on, oddly enough. I'm going to go turn that off so I don't have some weird background noise, and then I'll be right back. But I can't pause it because it's live.
Well, yeah, it is live, and I'll just I'll fill as I sit here try to figure it out. Yeah, there's a lot of improv stuff in this, which we'll talk about. There appears to be a battle royale improv tournament. Looks like they're doing that 4 times at the Focus Theater. 3 teams enter, 1 team leaves. Who survives? You tell us. Focus Theater presents Rochester Fringe Battle Royale Improv Contest. The winner from each semifinal show will advance to the Tournament of Champions. So, boom, boom, boom. Okay. I don't think they've thought this out too well, because if the same team wins all 3 of the first, I don't know, unless the Tournament of Champions is something totally different. But yeah, it looks like this place, the Improv Theater, does a lot of the Focus Theater does a lot of improv. In fact, they are okay. It's really fun to sit here and explore this stuff and learn about all these different venues, because the Rochester Fringe has got 30 plus venues for this, and and I don't mean like how they're utilizing their space for Fringe, but what how that place is the other 350 days out of the year or whatever it is.
Is there now? What's the All-Star Live competition you're just talking about?
This is called Battle Royale Improv Tournament.
Oh, this at the Rochester Fringe?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know. Let's see if I can look that up.
Oh, it looks like it's actually the production company is also the Focus Theater, so that's cool.
Oh, the Battle Royale Improv Tournament. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? When I did free beer was kind of like this, but it was just two different teams. There was another thing I did that was kind of an improv battle royale in Las Vegas, but that was like a showcase. There were like 20 teams. That I think Matt Donnelly and Paul Mattingly, and I want to say Phil, not Hartman, but not Phil.
The Kraken?
I don't remember who the third player was. It might have been Jeffers. Won that tournament or whatever. But of course they did, because fuckers are really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember my team Big Fun into that tournament, and we made it to the second or third round, but we lost to, I can't remember the other team's name now. But a friend of ours, the cool thing about the improv community, we're all friends or whatever. And it was very close. We lost maybe by a point. But I do miss competitive improv because I like to think I'm funny. And I win this kind of shit.
Well, my hope is that this maybe turns the dial up on the potential that you might make it up to the Rochester Fringe during that time frame.
Yeah, there's so much improv. I might have to see what's possible. And again, depending upon when we leave, where we leave, and where we're going, because shit's fluid.
Yeah.
We don't know what's possible in these realms, so I have to figure that out. Yeah, man. So in the meantime, you'll be in Oregon next week.
Yep.
And then after Oregon, you have anything, or the next thing after Oregon is the Fringe?
I've got some scattered shows. I'm actually doing something down in Northern Virginia in August for Smitty Scoop, and another fundraiser show in Elkton for a group that runs baseball clinics and softball clinics for young kids. They're a nonprofit that we're doing a fundraiser show for in mid-August, and then I think those are the only two hypnosis shows that I have that are in the middle of Oregon, and then jumping out to up to Rochester. Okay. As of right now, I mean, people jump me, and sometimes it fits on the calendar, so I do it. But at least public, that's what I've got.
Awesome. Well, if you're in any of those areas and you get a chance, be sure to swing over there and check Judgmentalist out. I stay tuned. I don't know where I'm going, what I'm doing, but it should be very interesting. Of course, I will be updating as it happens, as things go down. We want to, this moment, which we should have done at the beginning of the show, which I always forget to do at the beginning, is thank our Patreon subscribers. We appreciate y'all a bunch. We want to get into the habit of doing so. Do you happen to have, can you pull up the list real quick of who's who in the Patreon?
Yeah, I can do it.
All right, cool. And while you're doing that, I'll find some cool music to play underneath the read.
Ooh.
Oh, here we go.
Is that what I'm waiting for? We got J.W. Reynolds, Jesus, Estafix. Hey, I think I got it right that time. Galen, Dave, Jen, Pat, Joe, Rainbow, Dreamcatcher, The Love Podcast, Billy, and we'll throw Larissa in there from Cruise Habit. That's right, cruisehabit.com/BSDN. All sorts of cruising stuff, even if you just want to go there and talk ship. Margaret White, Smitty Scoop, who I am doing a show for in August. Angel Bree, Chris Lowry, who's put together the Elkton Magic Group Cruise, which may or may not have me performing. I'll be performing something. Whether it's my hypnosis show or not, we'll see. Michael McKenna Lee, Popsicle, who I will most likely be seeing out in Oregon. Sebastian Robbins, and Joshua Tarr.
Thank you all so much for being our Patreon subscribers. We appreciate y'all very much. If you want to become a Patreon subscriber and have your name read out at this portion of the show, you can swing on over to our lovely Patreon, which you can go to www.patreon.com/Big Sexy Digital Nomad.
It's gotta be an easy way.
Or the easier way is swing on over to bullwiththebutthole.com, where you too can sign up to be a Patreon subscriber. And if you're a Patreon subscriber, be aware you're going to get a lot of stuff. Things are coming down the wire. We both have videos and things like that we can start putting behind the paywall on the Patreon. I have a ton of stuff from my improv show that I'm going to be putting up there. I'm going to start recording parody songs once I find a really cool place to record.
There's tier in there that you can make Big Sexy do a parody song.
There is a level where you can make me do a parody song. You can force me to do a parody song of your choosing. I will dedicate it to you, and I will give you the digital copy directly, and then after a while, put it up to the Patreon. But you'll get it first, and you'll have it for a while. You can. I'll also do ringtones. If you want me to do your ringtone, if that's even still a thing, your voice message, if that's even still a thing, I'd be happy to be a voice on there telling people, hey, so-and-so ain't home. Don't leave a message. Nobody does voice anymore. Text. Send a text. What are you calling? Send a text. All right, bye. I'd be happy to leave that for you as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we thank y'all for listening. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We appreciate the love. And in the meantime,
safe travels.
Safe travels.